Rising and happy Thursday. Hello, Briahna.
Hello, Robby.
We both had harrowing journeys to the studio this morning.
I did. I was involved in a little fender bender, and you had trouble getting on one of your beloved scooters.
I know the internet wasn't working on my phone. It's like they're trying to silence us, Briahna.
That's right, but they cannot keep us from giving you the news today.
That's right. Oh, okay, what are we getting into? Actually, this is an auspicious topic, a topic that goes all the way to the top.
Suspicious. Well, what we're talking about, of course, is that a lawyer for an IRS supervisor has penned a letter alleging his client has evidence the Biden Justice Department is, quote, improperly handling the investigation into Hunter Biden's taxes. This is according to reporting from the Wall Street Journal. The IRS criminal supervisory special agent who is requesting whistleblower protections claims to have evidence that, quote, preferential treatment in politics have improperly infected decisions and protocols that would normally be followed by career law enforcement professionals in similar circumstances if the subject were not politically connected. The whistleblower also claims to have data contradicting testimony of a, quote, senior political appointee, as well as evidence of a, quote, failure to mitigate clear conflicts of interest in the ultimate disposition of the case.
Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer tweeted in response to the reporting, quote, the Biden administration may be obstructing justice by blocking efforts to charge Hunter Biden for tax violations. We know Hunter Biden engaged in deceptive business schemes. GOP oversight will hold accountable anyone in the administration who may be covering up the criminal activity. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was pressed on the allegations on CNN this morning. Let's watch.
Is now claiming to have information about alleged mishandling and political interference in the ongoing criminal probe of Hunter Biden. That person is seeking whistleblower protection to share information with Congress, according to this letter obtained by CNN. Our Sarah Murray just gave our viewers that reporting, and I just wonder if the White House has a comment.
Well, right now, as you know, we've been very clear to not comment on anything related to any type of investigation. So that is something that we have been very, very diligent about, and referring that to the Department of Justice.
According to the Wall Street Journal, the Department of Justice declined a request for comment. So I've read the letter. I have it here. It's very short. It's seeking whistleblower protection so that this IRS official can contribute to the discussion around whether Hunter Biden potentially did anything criminal. We were reminding each other of the timeline here that the Fed started looking into Hunter Biden, and then he discovered that he did have a significant unpaid tax liability, which he then did pay back. But they are continuing to investigate in case there's more that he owes, in case he could have violated various rules about disclosing lobbying, whether he had to register as a foreign agent and failed to do so, violating that law because he was getting money potentially from the Ukrainian energy company, and on and on and on.
Yeah.
So this is something of interest.
Yeah, there was also that accusation of lying on a gun registration form. You have to aver that you have not used illegal substances, and he ticked that he hadn't. And obviously now with the laptop leak, there's ample evidence that he has, and has been very open with his struggle with addiction.
Right, and I don't think that should necessarily be illegal, but the president's son should not get preferential treatment here.
Right.
I mean, people are in prison for using drugs.
Right, and for lying on one's form. So this is difficult because, of course, there is prosecutorial discretion that is used in many contexts, and is not necessarily preferential treatment. It's, does the government want to go after everybody who, let's say, they find smoked marijuana and also registered for a gun?
Right.
These kind of decisions are made all the time. It's not necessarily the case that it has to be preferential treatment. He has paid this. What he had apparently owed on his taxes. So there is also an argument that, just to steelman this, there is an argument that the fact that the IRS is going after Hunter Biden is the opposite of preferential treatment, that there is a kind of political interest that conservatives have in pursuing this particular case. It was first investigated in the lead up to 2020, and I think there was a lot of anxiety by Democrats about how this was going to affect Joe Biden's presidential run, and of course we're in the same situation this time around. It seems to me that it would behoove Biden just to have resolved this as quickly as possible before we got into campaign season, but here we are once again.
Here we are, and obviously this is something I've commented on before. If the IRS looks at you closely enough, they're going to find that you technically did something wrong. I mean, there are some parallels, frankly, to the Trump prosecution in that, look, if the feds really want to go after you, they really want to look at you, they'll find something. If they can't charge you with the underlying crime, they'll find some procedural violation in the way you defended yourself, what you said, et cetera. So, that's not, with the Hunter Biden stuff, that's not really what we care about. What we care about is if there's evidence of influence peddling that potentially impacted Joe Biden. Hunter Biden's not running for president. It's Joe Biden. And that is what I think is the legitimacy in continuing to look at this, and certainly hearing from an IRS whistleblower. And also if there's evidence that people involved in the government handled this case differently than they would have otherwise because they're sympathetic to Biden, or they don't want to see Trump again, or something like that.
I mean, to be honest, it would be difficult to imagine that the behavior from the White House hasn't that this case hasn't been handled differently. I mean, it's difficult to conceptualize just on a human level how the White House wouldn't be paying a lot of attention to and making sure every I is dotted and T is crossed when it's an investigation into the child of the President of the United States of America. So, I mean, I'd be very curious to hear what this whistleblower has to say, because there is preferential treatment and then there's preferential treatment. There is wanting to make sure that everything's done perfectly because of the political implications of something, and there's trying to absolve somebody of responsibility for something they've actually done wrong because they're attempting to protect the principle. And moreover, I mean, there is some attenuation between the fact of Biden not having adequately paid his taxes, subsequently paying the difference, and potentially having some other inconsistencies in his taxes, and the accusation that there was influence peddling with Joe Biden. Even if he did err or intentionally mislead on his taxes, that doesn't necessarily raise some red flag about what Joe Biden's behavior was. He could just be someone who's trying to keep more of his money from these ventures. I don't know how much we should expect to find in the tax forms themselves that elucidate a relationship between him and Joe Biden that is improper. So this does have a little bit of the air at this point of kind of political gamesmanship, but perhaps all is fair in love war and politics, given what's going on with the AG's office in New York and Donald Trump.
Yeah, remember when there was that conversation, I think it was maybe Jim Jordan who alleged that the FBI didn't want to look at this so close to an election because they didn't want to affect, they didn't want to be seen as being political. But that is itself a political decision,
right, of course,
that this should wait until after Joe Biden was safely elected, or in the future after Joe Biden is safely reelected. Like that. That's also a political choice.
Of course. I mean, it's difficult. That's kind of saying. It's difficult.
It's all political, right?
If it's influence, if the whistleblower is saying that something is being handled differently, there's not a lot of there.
He should get whistleblower status, and we should find out for sure what he has to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I hope that happens. We'll have more Rising right after this.